What's up, people? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing this Martin Sprout mint plant, this do-it-yourself planting thing. Okay, so inside they give you this fertilizer slash plant food. You get the seeds, of course, and you got the instructions. It's very long but detailed. And carbon. You also get this cocoa pod thing, and that is the net pot with the wick inside, and that's the reservoir slash jar. And also this grow medium that's just like some white rocks. Alright, so it tells you everything that's in there: the net pot and the wick inside, the grow medium, the reservoir, which is just the jar, the seeds, the plant food, the carbon, and the cocoa pod thing. And then all the instructions are easy to read, no weird jargon. It's very simple. But I did look at the video online because you can scan the top of the lid with your smartphone and it'll take you to their website. Alright, so here's everything all laid out. It says to put 2 cups of water in the reservoir, aka the jar. So I am pouring 2 cups of room temperature water into this jar. Now on the website, the video and the instructions, they're pretty much the same, but they do things like slightly different, and they don't have a lot of details like what temperature the water should be and things like that. I pay attention to that stuff, so it really was like a little bit bothersome to me. But anyway, so I put the water inside the jar, and then the next thing you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pull the wick up a ½ inch. Well, you're supposed to pull the wick up in the net pot so that there is a ½ inch left between the rim and the top of the wick. So I measured it because I want to be accurate. And then they said put the grow medium inside the net pot around the wick. It's still exposing the wick. And then they say the grow medium should also be a ½ inch away from the rim of the net pot. And then they want you to take that and to rinse off the grow medium. You're supposed to run it under, I think it's at warm water for 30 seconds. So I did mine for about 40 to a minute, just, rinsing it off because this is kind of powdery. I don't know if that's good or bad for the plants, but I'm sure they wouldn't put anything bad inside the plant pot. But anyway, so I made sure I rinsed it off really good, and I got that wick nice and wet. And then I put it inside a glass container to catch the drip. Now in the video, they put it right back into the reservoir, but when you rinse it, when you add water to this cocoa disc right here, then you'll just be adding more water to the reservoir, and they told us only 2 cups. So I don't know why they did that in the video, but the directions didn't specify, so whatever. So now this cocoa disc, in the directions it says sprinkle a little bit of water so it can expand, and then in the video it says water the disc a little. But let me tell you something, this disc, it needs a lot of water, okay? Like a lot more than a sprinkle, I should say that, because it is very dry and it is going to take a lot more water than a sprinkle for it to expand. And I had to keep doing it. I think it took maybe like 1.5 cups of water, because even like after it expands, it's still super dry on the inside. And I got a little scared, and I was thinking like, okay, maybe my disc is super old. Maybe I got an old Martin Sprout kit. Maybe that's why mine took so long. Maybe it's just super old. But I looked at some other videos, and other people's were, well, there weren't many, but other people were having like a similar issue with that. It just needed a little bit more water than specified. So I kept adding water, and it was slowly growing. And yep, look at that. That's so cute. Look, and it broke in half. But that's good because you get to see the inside of it and see how dry it is. It is super dry. So I broke it apart before I started adding more water to it, because at this point letting it expand was kind of silly. So then I just started adding a little bit more water to it to make sure that it was nice and moist, because that's how you want your plants to grow, into like some moist soil. And this is basically what this, whatever this is mimicking. Cocoa disc. It's mimicking soil. I don't know what's all in it, and I kind of don't want to know. So yeah, so the next thing after that is you have to add the carbon. All right, these little black crystals of carbon. It said spread it around evenly over the top, and that is exactly what I did. And I didn't even expect it to actually fill up the top that way, but yeah. So then now, according to the directions that you read, you put the net pot into the reservoir, and then you spread the seeds. Now, for mint seeds, you do not press them down, and they are so tiny. It's like barely noticeable. And I was just hoping that I got a few that were good, that were going to sprout. So I poured all the mint seeds on top, and I was so tempted to touch it some more, but I was afraid to, because the seeds are so little. And for the mint seeds, they say that they have to get direct sunlight before they sprout. So don't press them in. So I had to resist the temptation. But if you have something other than mint, you can press them down a little bit into the soil under the carbon. And this is where I put it. I put it in the windowsill, right? And I did end up moving it around a little bit over the next few days with my finger, because they say touch it to see if it's dry, and then you can spray it with water or add a little water to it. So I had to touch it. So the carbon spread around a little bit. So I was a little nervous about that, but in the end, I didn't do any damage. I just touched it and watered it, and I got a sprout after 5 days. This is like about 5 days later.